Hey guys, so wanted to shoot a real quick video on the pre-warm-up that Pam and I do, and we have all of our athletes do this or some variation of this. So we call this a pre-warm-up. I call it the Munson Pre-Warmup, and what I mean by pre-warm-up is this is going to be the routine that you would go through to get the body ready to before you start getting into warming up for the actual movements you're going to incorporate into your workout. So whether it's a weightlifting session or CrossFit session, martial arts, whatever it is you're going to do, there's going to be a certain amount of warm-up, skill practice, some kind of routine that you're going to go through to prep for the actual workout or the weighted movements, the workout movements. This is kind of a pre-routine before all of that, or before your skill work, before your strength work, whatever the case may be. So I'm going to run down this. Like I said, call it the Munson Pre-Warm-Up. We typically start with run, row, or bike for, I say 3 minutes. It's anywhere, it's usually like a 400-meter run, 500-meter row, 3 to 4 minutes on the bike, something like that. And then we move into what we call rotations. This little drill of rotations, you've probably seen something like this in a couple different places. Personally, I got this from years and years of martial arts. This was kind of the thing that we would start with after we jog laps in the dojang for a little bit. So we go through arm circles, forward and backward, big arm circles. Then we do some neck rotations, shoulder rotation or shoulder rolls, trunk rotations, and then hips and knees and ankles. And we're going to demonstrate all this here in just 1 second. And then the next two sections, the rolling and the limbers, I got most of this, almost exactly this routine from Joe DeFranco. He's got a mobility routine that he has his athletes do called the DeFranco 8. I found that through some of the Jim Windler stuff that I do. And it's a great routine, so we've incorporated it. We've always done something similar to this, but I really like the way Joe put this together. So we pretty much pulled this into our routine. With the foam roller, you're going to hit the quads 5, 6, 7 times up and down the quads. You're going to hit the outside of the legs and the ITB. You're going to hit the inside, hit the adductors, and then you're going to go up and down the back a few times. Just get everything kind of mushy. And then you're going to go into what I call limbers, which are things that are going to help make sure your muscles are nice and limber, loosened up. You're going to go through 10 fire hydrants, 10 groaners, or some people call these stretching mountain climbers, 10 frog jumps, 10 roll over to sit-ups, and then we're finally going to start getting into a little bit of movement. The body should be ready at this point to go through some reps. So you go through 10 air squats. You could also do overhead squats with a PVC pipe or a light bar, something like that. 10 jumping pull-ups or strict pull-ups if that's what you want to do, but we work with a lot of athletes that don't quite have the ability to do pull-ups just yet, so jumping pull-ups is a great alternative. You could do ring rows or bar rows or whatever as well. 10 push-ups, and of course those can be modified. Because you're already face down on the floor, we go right into 10 Supermans and then 10 sit-ups, and that pretty much completes it. And then we like everybody to finish off with about 30 seconds each side of the Samson stretch. So we're going to pause right there, switch holders, and I'm going to have Pam demonstrate all these movements.
All right, we're back. So I'm not going to have Pam demonstrate the run, row, or bike. I think that's pretty obvious. But so let's go through the rotations first. The forward arm swings. It's just going to be exactly what it sounds like. We try to make as big a circle as possible. We usually do about 10 forward, and then we go 10 backwards. So she'll switch the directions. I'm not going to have Pam do all the reps of everything, but just a quick rotation demonstration. So the neck rolls, she goes from side to side, stretching the sides and the back of the neck, but we don't have our athletes roll backwards. Okay, we don't want to see the spine get kind of crimped in the back. And then 10 shoulder rolls. You can go forward, you can go backward, you can go a combination. Doesn't really matter. We're just looking to loosen up that upper body. Going into the trunk twists, we like to see. Now take a look at Pam's feet. As you're twisting away, we let that twisting away foot come up onto the ball of the foot, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Just 10 each direction trunk twists. Hips, you get hands on hips, and we're just going to go 10 big circles in one direction, and then change directions for another 10 big circles. And then knee and ankle rotations. You can put your feet close together. And usually if you're training athletes in their 30s and 40s like we do, you hear some fun clicking and popping right here, and it's a good time. All right, so on the rolling, hit straight into that. And again, we're just going to go very, very quick. So we usually have the athletes roll up and down. You can go one leg at a time, you can go both legs as far as the front of the quad. But we go up and down there. We tell them to spend just a little bit of time on any area that's really singing. They find those spots And of course, you're going to get a foam roller that's going to match their tolerance and then test their tolerance at some point. So now Pam's going to get on her side a little bit, roll out the ITB, and again, all these passes on the roller, we encourage at least 5 up to 10 passes up and down. Spend a little bit of time on any spot that really sings to them. So that's going to be the ITB band. Then we're going to go into the adductors on the inside of the leg, and this is also a good way to get the hips to open up. You know, a lot of athletes, the hips are really tight, so it's just one more opportunity to get them to kind of open everything up. And then finally we're going to roll, and that's both sides. And then we're going to do about 8 to 10 passes up and down from the lumbar all the way up into between the shoulder blades. Okay, and then when we're up in that shoulder blade area, you see that, you know, Pam gets her shoulders wide open. You can cross your arms, you can hug yourself, you know, get everything nice and open. Once again, we encourage the athletes to find those areas that we see them make a face. We tell them, hey, spend some time right there. Okay, all right, so that's the rolling out, and now we're going to go into kind of the limber movements. We call them limbers. So she's going to start with 10 fire hydrants, and basically going to get on all fours, and you're going to make as big a circle as you possibly can with that leg. And so we want 10, I want 5 each side. So it's just a nice big circle, again, trying to get those hips to open up a little bit. The next one is going to be what we call a groiner. It looks like a mountain climber, but what we're really trying to achieve here is a really good stretch on the groin. So you can see that Pam gets the hips nice and low, holds it for about 3 to 4 seconds, and then switches sides, is really emphasizing pushing that knee out to open up the groin. Okay, so about 5 each side for 10 total reps. Frog jumps, exactly what it sounds like. She's going to be in kind of a frog position here. She's going to jump her feet back into a plank and bring them right back forward. Okay, you don't have to hold that plank, but we do want to get to where the whole body is a pretty much straight line back there. And she's coming back up again, opening the hips up. This works the upper body a little bit too. It's nice. It's a good warm up. And then the roll over to V-sit. This is going to be the one that's really going to test people's ability or their limberness. Now Pam's nice and limber, so she's a great demo here. But you're going to go all roll back, touch your feet, and come forward into a V-sit. Okay, and we hold that V-sit for just like a 2 count, and then come back forward, just like that. One more time. We go all the way back, we touch, and then we come forward and hold that for about a 2 count. Okay, so we look for about 10 of those. And now from there, we're finally ready to start doing a little bit of movement. Like I said, you can do these squats, you can do overhead squats with a light bar or a PVC pipe, but for most folks, we just have them do 10 air squats. So I just want to see 3 good reps, Pam. And obviously we're keeping the weight on the heels, taking the hips, the hip crease lower than the top of the knee, torso as upright as possible, okay? Going into jumping pull-ups. Now, on the jumping pull-up, we're not looking for a big gigantic swing here. We're not looking for a kipping jumping pull-up. We just want to see open shoulders at the bottom, and then, you know, as much leg assistance as needed to get that chin over the bar. Okay. And again, we're not trying to strength train the pull-up. We're just getting warmed up here. All right, we're going to pick up with push-ups. So on the push-up, the standard push-up, we like to see the hands about shoulder width apart. And we personally we absolutely positively require that the chest hit the deck. What we do look for is that the elbow is higher than the back on everybody. And the reason for that is some people have big stomachs, some women have big chests. And so it's hard to say, you know, that you could tell one person hit, you know, chest hit the deck, and that might mean a different range of motion for different people. Whereas if we tell everybody we want to see your elbows higher than your back, that's going to be pretty universal. And then also you can modify this by going from your knees for those that still need a lot of strength training on the push-up, which is fine. And then we're not going to demonstrate it today, but you could also do push-ups on a box or a bench or some kind of angled if they really need a lot of work. Next movement is Superman's. It's going to be basically the opposite of a sit-up. Okay, so it's just going to flex everything up, hold that for about a half count. It's not even 1 second. And so just look for 10 of those. It's just how much of the body can we get off the ground. It's kind of warming up that posterior. Flipping on over, going to do 10 sit-ups and full range of motion. We always require full range of motion. So at the bottom of the sit-up, the hips and shoulder blades are going to be touching the ground. Top of the movement, you're going to be in a fully seated position. Okay. And then finally, we're going to finish up this pre-warm-up entire series with the Samson stretch, which is basically a nice deep lunge. And on that lead leg, we're not going to push the knee out, in an exaggerated manner, but we're definitely going to try to open that lead hip up. And then the hip flexor on the front of the back leg, that's what we're trying to really, really open up there real quick. So Pam's going to, she puts her arms overhead to even emphasize that stretch even more. If the lagging leg, if that knee hurts being on the ground, you can always put your knee on a towel or a mat or something like that. But that's it. We're going to end it right there, and that's the Munson Pre-Warmup.